Good evening once more. I want to welcome you to today's class, Monitoring and Evaluation Class 4. I think today marks the second last of our class. The class which we are going to have, it will be the last one. And then it will be done with the monitoring and evaluation. From where we started so far, I'm sure you are able to see or you have gotten something as to do with monitoring and evaluation. We started with explaining what monitoring is and also what evaluation is. The things which are involved from the time a project starts and how you need to do your monitoring and how everything is done. Where we said monitoring is simply the continuous process of tracking data or collecting data, so that as you collect that data, you compare where the program is or the project is with regards to how you had planned that the program will run. Then if you find that things are not moving in order or that's not how you had planned, then you'll be able to get on track. So that's what monitoring is all about. It's not a complicated thing, very much simple. So you just have to know the tools or things which you need to have for you to conduct the same monitoring and evaluation. We went on to look at the monitoring and evaluation system, where we said it's the totality system or the whole process on how the monitoring and the evaluation is supposed to be conducted. So that system, how the monitoring and the evaluation is going to be conducted, the functions of it, that's what monitoring and evaluation system is. So when you go to an organization, or if at all you are employed to be an assistant monitoring and evaluation officer, or as an intern, or you may be even the monitoring and the evaluation officer, like other people, they come after you. So make sure that when we talk about you, when they tell you to put in place the M&E system, it's just how everything is going to be conducted. That we have talked so far. So at the moment we are talking about, we are on the indicators. Last time when we met, we were looking at the indicators, where we said indicators, they are what? They are clues. These are just signs which are put to help you to see or to know that you are in the right direction. If something happens that you are not in the right direction, then the indicators are the ones which are going to let you know that you have diverted, you are not on the right track, and then it will be easier for you to get back. So we came to, I talked about how many indicators do you need. This I propounded on each. So today I want us to look at the types of indicators. So when we look at the types of indicators, when we looked at the logic model, we understand to say that the elements that constitute the logic model are the inputs, the activities, the outputs, the outcome, and the impact. And each of those levels of the monitoring and evaluation, you'll find that you may need indicator at each and every level. But for these levels here, they start at the types of indicators, they start at the activities or the processes. So this is where the process indicators are coming in. So these process indicators, we're just talking about the second level in monitoring the activities. So process indicators, we are told that these are used to monitor the number and types of activities carried out. Of course, process indicator or activity indicator, they can be used interchangeably because process and the activity, we said they're one and the same thing. So the example of these process indicators, then the number and the types of services provided, the number of trainings which you may have, that is process. The number of people trained, that is also process. You are trying to see how many people were trained. But for this one, the number of people trained, I don't know how this one was, it found itself here, but this is supposed to be an output indicator because we are looking at the number of people trained. That is an output because this is the immediate result from the activity. So this is supposed to be an output indicator, not a process indicator. The process indicator is the number of trainings conducted. Are you getting that one, Madam Olivia?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So the number of people trained, that is supposed to be an output indicator. The process indicator should be the number of trainings conducted. So the number and types of materials produced and disseminated, and the number and the percentage of female clients screened. So that is the process indicator. Let us look at the results indicator. So before I go any further, you'll discover to say that when we talk about the indicators, we're just talking about the numbers. Indicators, there are two types of indicators, the main types. They fall under two. They can be quantitative or qualitative. Quantitative, those are the numbers, the percentages, the counts. They show the counts for a particular happening. And then for qualitative, descriptive in nature. They just try to describe how something is. They ask you, how are you feeling? When you say, I'm feeling good, or I'm feeling bad, that is an indicator. But it's qualitative because there is no number there, but it's just describing how somebody is feeling. How did you perform in the previous test? You say performed good, poor, or yeah, you know how they tend to rate the performance of people. That is descriptive. But for quantitative, is where numbers now they are produced. It can be in percentages or just counts. So those are the types, the main types of indicators. So when we look at the process indicators, everything that we are going to be looking at, we are just talking about the numbers, the number of people, the number of types, the number of everything. That's how indicators they are put. So let's look at the results indicators. So results indicators, from process indicators, the next thing that comes after activities is what? Let me try to ask you to see if at all you are following. What comes immediately after activities?
Outcomes.
The what?
The outcomes.
Yes, outcomes, they come after outputs. There is something
yes.
in between, yes. There is something which is in between outcomes and outputs. No, and the activities, which are outputs. Immediately after the activities, we come to the results. But these results, which are direct results, they are called what? Outputs. Now, those results, because they are results from outputs, outcomes, and impacts, because those are results, that's where instead of just having output indicators, but we are having what? Results indicators, depending with which results are we talking about. So let's look at the results indicator. So we are told that results indicators, they are used to evaluate whether or not the activity achieved the intended objective or results. So you are able to see from here that we are evaluating the what? The activities as to whether the activities they achieved the intended objective or the intended results. So selected indicators of knowledge, attitude, and practices of as measured by a survey. So when we talk about the knowledge, attitude, and practices, these are outcome indicators. Since when you talk about the knowledge and everything, the change in the behavior or the behavioral change, that is the outcome. Outputs, those are the direct results from activities. So results indicators can be developed at the output, outcome, and impact level. Take note of this. Is this clear?
Yes.
So results indicators, they can be developed at the output, outcome, and impact level, depending with the level. But specifically, they should be at the output because this is where results begins. Take note of that. So other than the results indicators, we have output indicators. Now, they are trying to specify which level are we talking about. So we are talking about the output level. So the results or the, not the results, but not results, but okay. Sorry, I was distracted by some messages on WhatsApp. When we talk about output indicators, we are talking about the output level of the logic model. So if you are asked that, what is the name of the indicators which are found on the output level? Those are the output indicators. So they illustrate the change related directly to the activities undertaken within the project, the program. Like, for example, we say the percentage of ICT staffs at Zamtel who completed the training in monitoring and evaluation. Are you getting this one?
Yes.
So we are looking at, since you had the training is an activity, that is a process. Process indicator, we are talking about the number of trainings that happened, that occurred. But now if you are told to give an indicator for an output, we are going to rate, look at each and every training, how many people attended that training. So the percentage, when we put the percentage, do you know how to find the percentage? How do we find the percentage? Do you know? So the percentage, okay, the percentage, it is found by you calculating the total number of people. So the percentage of ICT staff at Zamtel who completed the training in monitoring and the evaluation. So we look at the total number of enrollment. Like, people can be enrolled in a particular training, and out of that number, not everybody is going to finish. So when we sample how many people attended, not just attended, but finished the training, those people who completed, it could be that maybe the people who enrolled for the training, there were 10 of them. Out of 10, 7 completed the training. So we are going to do 7 divided by 10 times 100 for us to find the percentage. And that will be 70%. So the percentage of people or Zamtel staffs who completed the training in monitoring and evaluation. So that is how it is put. I think the percentage, this is how we even find your results. Like, for us to know that how have you scored, we don't just go with the count or the number, the actual number. We will say, how much have you gotten from the test? It was out of what? So we'll put the total will be the denominator, and what you have gotten will be the numerator. Then we multiply that by 100, then that gives us the percentage. I hope that is clear. So if you are told to give the indicator for the output of this training, how would we say? Would you say the percentage of students who completed the training in the monitoring and the evaluation course? So there we're just concerned with the percentage, the number of people who completed out of the people who enrolled. other than the output indicator, we have what we call the outcome indicators. So when we talk about the outcome indicators, we are relating these indicators to outcome, which is the fourth stage of the logic model, or the fourth level in the monitoring and the evaluation process. So outcome indicators, they relate to change that is demonstrated as a result of the program intervention in the medium to long term, to longer term period. So just like how we define what outcome is. So outcome, we said, outcome, this is the long or short, the short or medium term result, the change in the behavior, so to say. What benefit have you gotten from attending a particular training? So that is the knowledge which you have acquired. So knowledge, when you hear about the knowledge, the change in something, you are measuring that at an outcome level. I hope that is very much clear. So this change, the indicators which is talked about here, it relates to the change that is demonstrated as a result of the intervention. So for example, the number of ICT staffs in Zamtel fully trained and are applying monitoring and evaluation. Are we getting that one?
Yes.
How would we put the indicator for you who have been trained in this course for monitoring and evaluation? How would we say? Do you have an idea? Hello?
Maybe I'm not okay. Maybe from the example, we can say the number of students
Yes.
who have been trained.
Mm-hmm.
Since we're looking at the outcome, so the outcome will be us applying the monitoring and evaluation from the training. So us applying is what
exactly
outcome.
Exactly. So the number of ICT or the number of students who have been trained, if we end it there, that would be an output, because we're just looking at the training or who have completed the training. But if we go further now by the outcome, we are looking at not just being trained, but applying the monitoring and the evaluation. So what will be the denominator for this? If you are to look at the number of people who have been trained and are applying, what will be the denominator? So the denominator, the total number of people, we won't sample you from the people who were enrolled. No, we will sample you from the people who got trained. How many people got trained? Let's say, yes.
This class.
Hello?
I'm saying, for example, in our class, we say 2.
Yes.
Or the 2 of us who are being trained, but maybe there are 5 who enrolled in the course, but the 2 of us are being trained.
Okay. So if we end it there, when we say 2 out of 5 who enrolled, multiplied by 100, that is the percentage, right? We get the percentage. But that will be what? Is it going to be an output or outcome?
It will be an output.
An output, right? Because
yes.
we're just looking at the direct result. But now, if we are to, for it to be an outcome indicator, looking at those who are applying, what will be the denominator? How is it going to be?
Okay, so for now, we are not yet applying the, wait first, let me ask this. By applying, do we mean practicing?
Yes.
That learned.
Yes, what you have learned. You going in the field like you are employed and you are able to put that in practice, so to say.
Oh, okay. So for now, since we're just being trained, for now, we haven't yet started applying, so it will be 0.
Okay, so let's assume one person applies the monitoring and evaluation skill gotten from this training, how would that going to be? How do we put the outcome there? How is it going to be? So let's assume we go in the future. Let's go in the future. Let's go in the future and come back. So when we go in the future, we find that maybe one person applies, the other one, they don't apply this skill which they have learned. How will the outcome going to be? The outcome indicator. Let's put it in the percentage form. Or let's just put in the, let's just deal with the number just first.
If it will be in percentage form, it will be 50% because we're going to put one person, one who's being who was trained. I mean, two people are trained.
Yes.
And from two people who are trained, one managed to apply what they were trained. So it will be 1/2 times 100, which will give us a 50%.
Exactly. And this is very much important for you to know it, because you'll find it even in interviews. They like asking about indicators. It's indicators and the SMART indicators and SMART objectives. So SMART indicators and SMART objectives are just more like one and the same. The same qualities which you had said. I'm going to post, remind me before we end this course, so that I give you also about SMART indicators. Or you can do your own research on SMART indicators. But they don't differ much with the SMART objectives. So it's going to be 1/2 times what? Times 100. So it won't be 1/5. No. Take note of that one. So that is an outcome indicator. And how are you going to know that these people are applying the skills? It's because this is where we are saying outcome. They are not direct, but they are short or medium. Maybe after some good months, or after a year, or after even 2 years, that's when you see somebody applying. That is an outcome. That's why we say these are short and medium term results. That's where it is coming that you have to go in the future. But for output, there and then we could determine. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Let's come to the impact indicators. The impact indicators, they measure the long-term effect of program intervention. For example, in the outcome, what you were saying is that you were talking about the people who are applying the skill which they have learned. In the impact, we are looking at the long-term change now. What benefit will you going to give to the organization? So here we are talking about improved data management system across all Zamtel branches. So this was in the case of Zamtel. So since people are applying in the outcome, what will that going to do to the branch Zamtel? We are going to have improved data management system. So this is in the long term. It is hard for you to know the improved data management system in the short term because people are still applying. You haven't yet seen these results. So these results, in most cases, impact, they come starting from the 3rd year, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, going upward. But you can have impact starting from the 2nd year. You can have that. Is this clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was very much important for you to get to understand this because this holds M&E expert, an M&E expert, knowing about indicators, very much important for you to know. So an important issue that needs to be resolved in order to monitor the project process is how to define success. Commonly, organizations are able to track how many events they have held and how many people have been participated. That is the output. but not how many people have changed their attitude or behavior as a result. We're talking about the outcomes, like looking at how many people are able to apply the skills which they have learned. Most of the organizations, they find it difficult to monitor the success, because that is the success. So the main indicator of impact should be a reduction in the prevalence and incidence of violence, but that takes years to achieve. Know that. So more indicators are needed to gauge whether the program are moving in the right direction. So when you talk about the impact, that's why from here, we are looking at the improved data management system. So most of the indicators on the impact, we are no longer looking at the numbers, no, but the reduction of incidents, the increase, the improvement, just such kind of words. Those are the words which you are using, because these are long term. We're no longer concerned with the numbers, but we are now concerned about the long-term effect of that program's intervention. I hope that is clear, unless there is any question.
I've got a question, sir. So yes, on the impact indicators, is it also necessary to look at the negative impacts of maybe of the whole thing, or maybe you just concentrate on the positive impacts?
Yeah, a good question. It is important for you to look at the negative as well, because not all, it could be possible that you do a project and the project fails to achieve, the intended goals, so to say. But in most cases, the either improvement or reduction, these words they are used if it was something which was bad, which was happening, like let's say suicidal cases. The words which we are going to use, we are going to say the reduction in the, you get that one, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So for each and every project, there is a problem which it is trying to reduce or to eliminate. Okay. So you can also look at the negative, but that is not the concern of that, because each and every project, it has to do something. Of course, if it has failed to achieve the results that are worse, that maybe from where you started, you find that the numbers were even small. This time around, the numbers are even big, or the large numbers. It could mean that maybe your program, it failed to achieve the intended goal, because your intention was to reduce or to improve the situation. So you can also look at the negative. It's not bad, no. It just depends on what the project or the program has done. Is that clear?
Yes, it's clear, sir.
So let's look at thank you very much. Let's look at the indicator reference sheet. So the indicator reference sheet, it's just more like the, I don't know how I can say. Do you remember how we defined what the monitoring and the evaluation plan is? What did we say it is?
We said it's a book, yes, or a document that contains, yes, everything about monitoring and evaluation.
Exactly. So there is this sheet now. This sheet also, the indicator reference sheet, it contains everything about indicator, but it's not a book on its own. It is contained, it is found in the monitoring and evaluation plan. So monitoring and evaluation frameworks and the plans should incorporate both processes and result indicator. An indicator reference sheet is a detailed documentation for each indicator. It contains the following. So one thing you should know is that when we talk about this sheet, it's more like, I don't know how I can best put it, but it's a document, not really a document. It can be it's more like in table format. And it includes everything about a particular indicator. So what does it contain? It contains things like basic information. What is that indicator all about? How does that indicator link to the framework? So the basic information about a particular indicator, what we'll do, an example of an indicator. Can you give me any indicator which you know? Do you know any indicator which you can, maybe in health? Yes.
Let's see, maybe the number of people that have been tested or screened for HIV.
Okay, thank you. So those numbers, that one which you are saying is a description or it's a name which you explain for a particular indicator. Are you getting me?
Oh.
Like when we say, what is the, let me use fertility rate. Do you know fertility rate? So when we look at the fertility rate, probably what we are looking at the number of people, or not the number of people, but the number of babies who are being born alive. And then we are comparing that number with the number of women who are in the reproductive age. For you to look at the particular, to look at the fertility rate of a particular country, you look at the number of babies being born in that particular area, you compare it. The denominator will be the number of women who are found in that particular area. So fertility rate is an indicator. Now, that being an indicator, how do you explain it? It's the number now of babies being born. So this issue of my numbers is more like a description of a particular indicator. I don't know if that one makes sense to you. So description, other than the basic information of the particular indicator, it comes the description. Define the definition of that particular. What is it? The unit of measure, how is it measured? Is it a number? Is it a proportion? Is it an average? Methods of calculation, how is it calculated? And the justification and how it will be used in the program management. Plans for data collection, how will that particular indicator going to be measured? We have explained that one. But before you come to the measurement, there is, of course, something which has to do with data collection. Methods of data collection for that particular indicator. How are you going to find the data? If you are looking at, remember I was talking about the fertility rate. For the fertility rate, you would talk of the methods could be maybe, if at all you are using primary data. Primary data, by primary data, do you understand primary data and secondary data? Primary data is the data which you go and collect you yourself physically. You go in the field. And the secondary data is where you go in the archives, you go in the books. It's already collected. Now, if you are using secondary data, maybe that will be the method. If at all it is primary data, you need to go to do, to go there, you yourself, go and collect the data. The sources, where are you finding this data from? Is it from the surveys? You need to do a survey, or is from the records? The frequency, how often are you going to be collecting the data? The estimated cost for data collection, how much will it cost you for you to collect the data? responsible organization and individual for everything. I think you are going to go through this. So it also contains even information to do with data analysis. How will the data going to be analyzed? After you have collected it, how are you going to analyze it? Reporting and the review, everything. So this sheet, it includes everything. Data quality, performance data table. So everything you find that this sheet when we talk about the indicator reference sheet, it contains everything about a particular indicator. I'll give you an example. There's an example which I have shown here. So what are some of the common mistakes in indicator selection? We have indicators that are not linked to the program set goals or activities. You may talk of, maybe in this case, in our case, we're talking about, let's take, for instance, in the case of the Zamtel project, where they wanted to improve the data management system. We are talking about improvement of data management system. And then you get an indicator to do with fertility. Does that link? Is that connected? No, it's not. It doesn't even make sense. So make sure that the indicator that you are talking about, or indicators which you are selecting, they link the goals and activities towards or to that particular project. Is that clear?
Yes.
So if at all you want to improve the literacy levels, you are talking about the literacy rate, illiteracy rate, things to do with my studies and everything. Retention rate. Retention is just, is the school able to keep the students, not the issue of enrollment rate. You are just talking about it, the number of people who were enrolled to that particular school. But now when we come to retention, it's the people who remain in the school. You can have a number, you have enrolled a lot of people, but you fail to keep them. That is the retention. So such kind of terms or such kind of indicators, those are the indicators which you need. So if you have indicators which are not linked to that particular program which you are given, just know for sure that it's a mistake, because it will be relevant. It will give you wrong figures. The other one is using outputs as outcome. Here you should be very much careful as an M&E expert. I hope this one it explains itself well, because we have done more of it. You know how it means or what it means?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Poorly defined indicators, indicators which are vague. They are not clearly defined. Indicators, they should be specific. The SMART indicator which I was talking about, I'll give you a homework, I think, on this one. Before Mindspot Address, you do a bit of research on it, just to help you, preparing you for the future, because I know when you attend an interview for monitoring and evaluation, most likely the chances are very much high that the indicator reference sheet, this issue, and the indicator to do with SMART indicators, they will ask you, putting those figures, like they will give you a question to say these were enrolled, these they attended the training, these applied. Then they ask you to give the outcome indicator from there. Then it will be up to you now to know that the outcome, at which level are you picking it? You get that one, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You need to know that. So poorly defined indicators, data needed for indicators which is not available. If you know that the particular indicator which you want to use, it's hard for you to find the data, don't use it, don't go for it, because how are you going to collect the data? Because you cannot use an indicator without data. So once you know that it's hard for you to find data for that particular indicator, don't use it, because it will just waste your time. You know, it is very much costly for you to collect data. And if you know that it is a hard way, like there is no way how you can collect the data, don't use that particular indicator. Indicators that does not accurately represent the intended outcome, don't use them. It's a mistake. Too many indicators, you have a lot of them. It's also a what? A mistake. So key questions to ask when selecting indicators: do they meet programmatic needs? Will they give you useful information for decision making? Are they feasible considering time, money, and the staffing? Do they match internal requirements? Are the data available? How accurate are the data? Are they standard indicators used across projects, programs, and countries? Are you collecting information appropriately? So all those are questions which you need to ask yourself. So this is an example of an indicator reference sheet where it shows the objective here, the activities. From activities, you have output indicators or activity indicators. You would look at the number of activities performed. So the indicators here on this facilitate access to legal aid networks. The indicator to it, because this is an activity, facilitate access to legal aid network. The indicator will be percentage of staff of legal aid. Are we getting this one?
Yes.
Raise awareness of rule of law, and the human rights, including GBV among CBOs and the civil society organization. The indicator towards that activity will be the number of workshops conducted aimed at improving linkage between health, providing legal and everything. Get that one?
It's the third point where I said number of GBV awareness training. Isn't it?
Oh yeah, I get you. An activity can have 2 or more indicators. You get that one, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
on the raise of awareness, the number of workshops conducted is a way of raising awareness. The number of GBV, whatever conducted, it can also link to that one. So you can have one activity, but having 2 or more indicators.
Okay.
The means of verification, where are you getting the data? Program training records, annual reports, and everything. So we are going to end here. Others, they would want also to use the link for monitoring and evaluation. I want to thank you for connecting or being able to join for today's class. I wish we could reach at page 90 so that we would just remain with one thing, which we would do, take us just maybe 20 minutes in the final class. Otherwise, we're almost done with monitoring and evaluation training course. So from here, we're going to do the data collection plan. It's very much simple. These are just things which you can read. But once we could have reached on here, yeah, we're supposed to end here. Project feasibility analysis. This was supposed to be our last thing. So this will be our last topic. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
I hope you find these lessons very useful. Be going through the notes so that you acquaint yourself with the knowledge to do with monitoring and evaluation. Otherwise, I thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, sir. Good night.
Good night.